My colleague, Shri Anurag Jain ji, Secretary DPIIT, my colleague Shri Amritlal Meena ji, Special Secretary in the DPIIT, also the MD and CEO of NICDC, all the CEOs of various nodes which are already developed, several officials from the other areas which are under development, state representatives, captains of industry, and more particularly, I must say, all those who have benefited from these projects, some of whom we heard just now. Mr. Deepak Bagla, the CEO of Invest India, who has also made some announcements or not yet made. I'll make the announcement. Okay. All the distinguished participants of this very important program, friends. As Anurag ji said, we feel really bad that we could not join you since the stated time, but we were actually in a very important dialogue with the Honorable Prime Minister. But clearly, the feedback that I've taken about the day's proceedings has truly encouraged me to think bigger and bolder about the future of NICDC. And I must compliment all those who have been associated with this project. I do recall that this was started somewhere in 2008, but when in 2014-15 it was reviewed, we found that we are almost at point zero. There was hardly anything that had happened. None of the lands were in place, none of the master plans had been made, funding was not provided for, everything was almost at an announcement stage. And I can share with you, the Honorable Prime Minister continuously is following up with all of us to ensure that whatever is taken up or whatever is decided or announced either through budgetary announcements or through cabinet approvals, sometimes through various addresses by the Honorable Prime Minister, they should be taken to their logical end and should actually start serving industry or the people of India. And I'm delighted to see that based on the feedback that has come out today, this is one project which is now at the cusp of taking off. And I'm sure with the encouraging response and the encouraging words that were spoken during the course of the day, we will feel more enthused to take this project forward in a fast-track mode. When I was hearing one of the colleagues who spoke before me, Mr. Sadanand Shabdeji, I was recalling my own days when I started as an entrepreneur, again of a very small unit like you mentioned, in 1981 or thereabouts. I was barely 17 years old. To get an allotment of 2,930 square meters of land, and that figure will remain with me till I die. 2,930 square meters in NICDC Dombivli. I must have made not less than 90 or 95 trips to the Chakala office of NICDC. Those of you who are from Mumbai or Maharashtra will jolly well know that. You might have visited that also. 90 to 95 trips, right from the time it took or the trips it took to find out what is available, because that was also classified and privileged information. Nobody was willing to share what plots of land are also available. There was a value attached to all this information. And the amount of trips you had to make to try and convince them to allot it to you, as was rightly pointed out, 3 sets of plans, hard copies. I think it was more than 3, but ab itni yadgash hamari bhi achhi nahi hai. But the harassment that it was to get any piece of land is sought to be changed in the new age or new way of working that Prime Minister Modi has brought before the country. I was really delighted to hear that you can experience that plug-and-play infrastructure, which is sought to be offered through the NICDC projects. And I'm happy that at least 4 have taken off. I have today also instructed my colleagues to quickly do an assessment of what the other nodes and the other clusters are willing to do in a time-bound manner. Otherwise, foreclose those projects and offer them to other areas where we can get land on a fast-track basis. If we want to serve you, then I think the states will also have to take ownership and responsibility to provide the land on a fast-track basis. I'm told many of the states where other nodes are planned have attended today's program. Those who have not attended, please convey to them in absolutely no uncertain terms that this is the defined time period. Tell us what land you can acquire and give us, or what is available with you, and freeze those projects at that. We cannot wait for years and years for the rest of the projects to come up. As regards the projects that are coming up, I am very happy that many of the project proponents or the CEOs have brought out schemes to promote the utilization of those 3,000 acres that were shown to us or announced, that there's 3,000 acres of land available. I'm given to understand that the CEO Greater Noida has committed for allotment of land within 20 days of making an application. So anybody who's interested, also please now propagate all of these things. Amritalji will have to think of a way that instead of each one propagating his offerings, can we collectively make that offering known to everybody in the world, right? And whether we can use social media, whether Invest India can play a role, whether you can have large advertisements only in the business papers. Anybody who's interested in investing or doing business would possibly be reading one or the other of the business papers. In a cost-effective manner, can we convey to the world what is available in those 3,000 acres? The CEO Dholera has also made an offer which I'm sharing with you. He has said that 30% of the land which is there in Dholera or which is available in Dholera, the first movers or the anchor investors who pick up 30% of the land available will be given a 50% discount. Not a small discount. So what I saw is about 1 crore of rupees an acre will straight away come down to 50 lakhs or thereabouts per acre. From the brochure that has been given to all of you, which has the price of the land, my estimate is it's about 1 crore, or maybe in the case of Dholera, slightly less than that. No, Dholera is about 1 crore of rupees an acre. So straight away a 50% discount to the first 30%. Of course, I've told Amrit Lalji that take care to ensure that there's time-bound implementation of those projects, assess the amount of jobs that are being created by those projects. There should be no land squatting just because you're offering a 50% discount. So that discount should be linked with milestones or time-bound implementation and time-bound creation of jobs. Possibly you can even use it for new technology, those who are bringing new technologies to the country, or new partnerships with technology majors. And Greater Noida, of course, is a very expensive piece of land, but Dholera can also take larger projects, land being affordable. We have also asked all the 4 CEOs to look at payment terms, to look at deferred payments, to help you plan your cash flow, and protecting the net present value, so that at any point of time there's no criticism that the government has lost value. But whatever is there will be known transparently and publicly to all. And since all applications are online, we will know who applied first, what area he requires, what jobs he's creating or committing to create, and then ESI, PF data can be used to ensure that those jobs really get created. I'm sure the states where your projects are coming up will also be adopting the new labor laws, which will be a good incentive for people to go and invest in those states. And Invest India has been kind enough to offer that they will open a facilitation office or an office to attract investors from across the world in these first 4 industrial townships. Based on that experience, then we can look at our offices in other areas also. Those states which are setting up the 18 states are being urged to do their decision making very quickly, offer the land, otherwise we'll be forced to foreclose those projects and maybe offer them to other states who may be willing to speed up investment. Noida, of course, is expensive land, but I'm happy that the CEO of Noida has announced or has shared with us that they're going to quickly acquire land along the Yamuna Expressway, about 60-70 kilometers from Delhi, as phase 2 of that project, and they're looking at 4,000 acres. So that's truly going to be a good size and scale to be able to offer good quality infrastructure. It'll be obviously more affordable. Please speed that up. I've already talked to the UP government about it. I think 3 or 4 days back I had a conversation about it. Please use that conversation to process that faster. And if anybody gets stuck in any of the states, I'm happy to work as your employee, pro bono, to help you speed up in implementing these projects. I am also open to new ideas. So I request all of you to share with us, through the CEOs or through Amritalji and his team. Rajendra Ratnu, Joint Secretary, is also here, other colleagues, Abhishek is here. Please share with us your ideas. For example, I was asking, what about testing facilities? Are they being made available? I'm told some infrastructure for common testing facilities is being created, but should there be a demand for specific testing? Take, for example, the transformer company which came up. Transformer testing is a very specialized activity. Of course, I don't know where in Aurangabad they are located. We are through PM Gati Shakti. We are mapping all the testing infrastructure in the country also. But anywhere, and I'm saying this beyond the NICDC projects also, if industry is working in clusters and requires any specific testing facilities, BIS is willing and happy to set up testing facilities whichever part of the country there's adequate demand for that test facility. We will invest in the most modern testing equipment and make it available at very affordable prices so that industry can get testing at nearby locations. Of course, in the NICDC nodes, we'll be happy to provide testing facilities wherever there's a commonality of interest. Of course, if there's one unit, then he'll have to arrange for his own testing facilities. There also, if required, BIS or QCI can authorize that testing facility and make it a approved facility if it's of high quality with good equipment. And we may also find a way, Anuragji, find some solutions to this, that if somebody, let's say the transformer company, I don't know, I'm just talking to the top of my hat right now, if they invest in setting up a facility for testing transformers in their premises, but their requirement may not be round the year or may not be so large, we may even allow them to offer it, once approved, to other people who may want to use that facility in the vicinity and charge a reasonable price for it. That's, of course, a contract between the user and the provider of the facility. We need not interfere in that. But we may allow them to, ultimately, the nation's assets have to be put to good use. As we say in business management terminology, let's sweat our assets as much as we can. Let's put to use whatever infrastructure or facilities are created wherever to the maximum possible use. So let's say if an Aurangabad NICDC node, you have created some facility. If the nearby area also requires it, maybe outside your zone, and you have spare capacity without compromising the needs of those who are within the zone, I think for a fair cost, you should allow that. There's no harm in it. Ultimately, it will serve somebody in the country and serve industry in general. But as I said, without compromising the priority that our own units within the zone should receive. Or if you set up a common effluent treatment plant, by making it slightly bigger, if you can also serve, I don't know, but I'm just saying maybe Waluj is nearby. Or एक और है ना औरंगाबाद के पास दूसरा. There are 2-3 industrial estates there. I have no problem if pipelines can be drawn and if it's viable and necessary. I'm not forcing a thing. I'm just saying work with an open mind so that we can use our assets to the maximum capacity. Somebody mentioned, and I think again, Mr. Shedge mentioned that he's born, he wishes he was born now and he was born 25 years too early. It reminds me of what Prime Minister Modi had said while addressing the nation, that while most of us in this room may not have been born at the time India gained independence, and I'm saying this in the context of 75 years of independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which we are celebrating. Prime Minister had said that while most of us, and particularly our young boys and girls over here, may not have been born to fight for the country's independence or serve the nation in the independence struggle, I think we need not stress over it. We need not feel bad about it. We have an opportunity today, over the next 25 years of Amrit Kal, as we go from 75 to 100 years of independence, as we progress from a developing nation to a developed nation, which should be our collective vision and endeavor, I think we can all become soldiers of this fight, of this effort in the Amrit Kal, to work for the nation, serve the nation. And that's an opportunity which all of us have. So let's not lose that opportunity. Let's participate in this growth story that India is working on. And let's see how we can make the best use of available facilities and also come up with ideas for the future. I visited the Dwarka Exhibition Center yesterday. Of course, many of you may be aware that at ITPO, the Pragati Maidan complex where we've been having trade fairs for years and years, I've attended them when I was a child, so it must be at least 40 or 50 years old, if not more. We are creating world-class exhibition facilities, comparable to anywhere in the world, both at Dwarka and at ITPO. And I think we have such facilities in Mumbai now, at the Dhirubhai Ambani exhibition complex that has come up at BKC. We have a similar very good facility in Noida, I think, Greater Noida. So India now wants to play an increasingly important role in the MICE activities. MICE as in, I think, exhibitions and conferences, meetings. Right. So in that area, we want to create world-class facilities, and we want to create a situation that tomorrow or a few years from now, instead of the world running to participate in Hanover at European costs, would be more happy to come to New Delhi or Noida, or at times, like Hanover Fair, we could have combined exhibition in Dwarka, in Pragati Maidan and Noida, all collectively creating an ecosystem which is of the scale that no other country can offer. So let's think big in our ambitions. That was the idea that I wanted to share with you. I'm sure going forward, we'll look at huge amount of job creation. This 3,000 acres. I think, Amritalji, we should set a time frame, whether it can be Diwali or it can be the year end. We must set a time frame that in this period, this 3,000 acres should be put to good use. I know we lost good time during the COVID 2 years. Otherwise, a lot of these areas would have been by now put to use. But let that bygones be bygones. Let's plan for the future more efficiently and look at these 3,000 acres starting to serve the nation. Moment that happens, A, your cash flows will be unlocked. B, other states will be encouraged to look at speeding up their projects. C, you can look at phase 2 like you're doing in Noida. D, the ecosystem around this will create many more indirect jobs and will encourage people to flock towards the NICDC when more and more of friends like Hare and all the other colleagues who spoke today, the word of mouth publicity will be worth its weight in gold. And therefore, I think the important message to all of you is, and that is why today's investor roundtable was conceptualized, that the word goes out, this 3,000 acres of plug and play is available. Any more facilities you require there, we are ready to provide. We are ready to look at very, very attractive payment terms. Happy to look at, for example, what Dholera has offered today. So I hope this results in a little bit of a rush. But of course, everything should be done in a very, very transparent manner. As I said, have certain rules of the game. No squatting on land, high job creation, new technologies, and effectively give land for the immediate need and maybe 1 or 2 phases of growth, again in a reasonable time frame. And if we can achieve this, I think the sky is the limit for the future of NICDC. This pioneering infra program also being dovetailed now with PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, by which we'll be able to give better connectivity to all these nodes. We'll be able to offer all these lands through our land bank, which is in public domain, as a part of our national single window, which is already out in public. All approvals in these NICDC areas can be directed through the national single window. So tell all those who are coming in to buy land to do the whole process through NSWS. So there'll be greater adoption and testing of NSWS also. And we'll know what improvements that requires. Business persons will get a feel and a sense of the advantages or the speedy approvals that the national single window offers. So idea being, let's create new benchmarks which should offer world-class facilities at the speed of lightning with transparency of the highest order and hopefully at very affordable prices. That should be our mantra to make India an investment destination of choice over any other. This should be encashed because the world today is looking to engage with India. This is the time, again as Prime Minister says, yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai. Very often if you don't grab an opportunity at the right time, you lose that opportunity. After all, you've seen the rush of countries wanting to work with India. 2 FTAs in our bag in a span of 2 months. 3 or 4 others at advanced stages of negotiation. Prime Minister of UK already in India, possibly by now, maybe in Delhi also. The European Commission President coming in on Sunday. The summit with President Biden barely, 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago? Look at the interest the world is evincing in India. Today, Prime Minister Modi is the world's tallest leader amongst democracies. And I think if we don't take the advantage of all of the offerings that are on the plate today, and I don't mean just NICDC, whether it's Digital India, whether it's our effort to take financial inclusion to the nook and corner of the country, the collective effort of the nation to ensure we come out of COVID from a position of strength and make India consistently the world's fastest growing economy once again, a position we held until a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. Use all these smart cities and the infrastructure being created across the country. Take advantage of the huge investment opportunities in the $1.4 trillion worth of infra projects which are in the national infrastructure pipeline. Use the facilities of NICDC and the new upcoming areas. Reach out to the rest of the world to attract greater investments into India. Build upon the highest ever export that India has ever done, $670 billion, goods and services combined. Highest ever India has ever done. And individually also the highest in goods and the highest in services. It's a great building block on which we should now grow further in this 75th year of independence. The world wants to do business with us. We have to now choose whether we want to take this forward, whether we want to enjoy the fruits of the global outreach that is available, whether we want to enjoy the fruits of the world's attention, which is today fixated on India. And I am sure smart businessmen, many of them in this room, others whom I hope this message will be conveyed through our industry associations and the EPCs who have come in big way today. I hope the message goes that the smart businessmen will not lose any opportunity to take advantage of these smart industrial townships that have been created. I am confident that today's outreach program will result in significant outcomes. Maybe 3 or 4 months down the road, we should do another session where we'll review what has happened, maybe around Diwali or so, see how much of this message has reached the length and breadth of the country, what happens with the 3,000 acres that you already have, what the other state governments are doing, how many more projects get fast-tracked, and whether collectively our vision aligns with the vision of Honorable Prime Minister for a new India, building an Atmanirbhar Bharat, new energy being put into all our programs, the collective commitment of all of us to take development to 135 crore Indians across the country, ensuring that the prosperity of every single individual is our collective commitment, our collective endeavor. I'd like to invite all of you in this room, across the country, investors, industrialists, business houses, exporters, MSME sector, within the country and internationally, to invest in the future, invest in India, invest in the land of opportunity. Thank you very much.